What's up, gamers? Welcome to Gamer Rant. My name's Kevin. In today's episode, let's talk about the small company at the center of Sweet Baby wants us to call it Gamergate 2.0, along with pretty much every journalist that's now starting to talk about this. And hopefully we can all be the bigger people and not give them what they want, and let's not call it Gamergate, because this isn't what it is. We need to stay on focus in the pocket of the argument, not get sidetracked and go outside of it. This is not Gamergate 2.0. Let's not give them that time of day. The accusations began around the release of Spider-Man 2 last October. More came when Alan Wake 2 hit a week later. They were all over the replies to the social media accounts of Sweet Baby Inc. Hateful comments, many of which hinged on the idea that the monorail-based narrative development and consulting company was responsible for the wokification of video games. Recall Kim Blair, the company CEO. In the months following, the noise only increased. You made this character black. That's a statement of fact, not harassment. Or you added these gay characters. That's also a statement of fact. Or you ruined the story. That's nothing more than somebody's opinion, not a hateful comment. Blair says, of the comments, the tone of which she added never changed. Neither have the demand of the people behind them. It's usually leave the industry, Blair says, or admit there's truth to wild conspiracy theories about being involved with investment companies BlackRock. Sweet Baby Inc. is not, or more seductively, die. I know it doesn't say seductively, but that's the word I'm going to use, okay? According to one Sweet Baby writer, there was a significant uptick in harassment aimed at the company after the Steam Group's creation, including sending harassment texts and DM. Wired has agreed to withhold the writer's name for their safety. They're treating this like a holy war, they say. It is taking on a cult-like vibe. The only thing that Sweet Baby Inc. has ultimately proven, along with these companies that are allowing the white knights for this company that are friends with the CEO, is that they don't want the honest truth out there. This article, like all other articles, completely ignores the fact that who initiated this harassment? Who created this harassment? Employees of Sweet Baby Inc. But a lot of these articles don't want to mention that. They don't want to talk about it. They want you to look at a group that they're the bad people. They're what's wrong with the world today. So let me explain something to you. Back in the day, we learned in high school, public high school, about theme. This is something your English teacher probably forced down your throat, told you was very important. The irony of this, if you actually research, like you want to write a novel, you want to write a story, information will tell you not to focus on the theme. Because the moment you force theme, which is basically the moral of the story, is the moment your story is going to fail. Especially if you're writing for kids. Because kids are already talked down to by adults. They're already told what to do. They definitely don't like being told what to do in a book. So you have to basically write your theme or the moral of the story without actually focusing on it. And the moral and the theme just come naturally to the characters and the world building and the plot of the overarching story itself. The theme comes natural because the writer doesn't think about it, the writer doesn't focus on it. They just go and they write. This same thing works with diversity. I think the biggest problem that we see in modern entertainment in any form is people are forcing diversity. And objectively, it doesn't have to be forced. This isn't rocket science. Diversity is just like the theme of a story. The moment you force it, it is the moment it will fail. Because your focus is on something that is ultimately irrelevant, and that is your personal belief. Like, the whole concept behind diversity is supposed to be, hey, we need different characters of different ethnic, religious backgrounds, and that we should also be using other people's folklore, cultures, and mythology when attempting to create our own stories. So if I was going to write a fantasy novel, basically diversity is saying, hey, instead of using the normal medieval England, Britain mythology and legends and stories, maybe hop on over to Mongolia. Check out their folklore, their mythologies, the creatures that they have passed down for generations, and maybe try to add something a little bit new to your own fantasy story that you're creating. Or maybe if I'm writing a horror story, my lead character is a female Filipino. Maybe it's set in the Philippines. Then I should do it. Now, granted, if we're going with this iteration that that it's set in the Philippines, because I've only been to the Philippines once. So this would require me as a writer to do research. You know, I'd have to research the rules, the laws, a bunch of stuff. That way when I'm writing the story, it feels authentic to the reader, either because they traveled there or they live there, they have parents there. So there's a research portion here. I mean, this isn't hard to figure out, ladies and gentlemen. This is what diversity is supposed to be. Nothing more, nothing less. What it's not supposed to be is I have a belief, this is what diversity is, and we need a strong female lead character. That's not what diversity is. Because if you're doing your job as a writer, the female character you're creating will come off as a strong, independent woman all on her own. It goes back to the iteration of show, don't tell. I just think it's very disingenuous of this entire controversy that Sweet Baby Inc. initiated and started. And the one fundamental that they don't even understand is what diversity is supposed to be. Because what they're doing is the complete opposite of them being diverse. And we're not even talking about in their story. We're talking about how they're treating people on their own social media accounts. How they're twisting a narrative so that they look like the victim rather than the aggressor. This is a company that wants to sell you on the idea that they know what diversity is. But the only thing they're proving is that they don't know what diversity is. Because diversity is not about, I'm going to create a black female, she's the lead character, and then I'm going to make a bunch of male characters that are utterly fucking stupid. Because we have to make sure that she is the highlight of the book or the highlight of the movie. That's not diversity. Diversity includes everyone being a strong, independent character of their own will and volition. This is where the writing part failed. I mean, this is not rocket science. You look at Forspoken, a video game. I could literally write a novel, same character, and she'd be a million times better than she was in the game. Why is that? Because I don't have an agenda. I mean, this stuff is not hard. But the moment you try to make an agenda and put an agenda in what you're creating is the moment it's going to fail. It's just like theme. You cannot force diversity. You cannot force theme because it will fail. If you are a good enough writer, then everything that you create and your own mentality is, all right, so they're saying I need to be more diverse in my creative art. All right, I'm going to create a story with a Mongolian female. She's going to live in America. She's an astronaut. And that's all I need to do. And then I just create the story around that. And if I want her to come off as a strong, independent woman, I'm not going to preach to the reader. I'm just going to show them. But this is where diversity usually ends up failing, whether we're talking video games or whether we're talking films. Look at something like the live action of The Little Mermaid. Are you honestly going to sit here and tell me that the best way to accomplish diversity is to hand out sloppy seconds, to look at a minority group and say, you're not worth our time to create original brand new princess that your children can grow up with, that everyone can identify with in some facet that thereof. The only thing you're worth is the sloppy seconds of white man's story. That's the only thing Disney did. I could have created a black female mermaid that exists in the Disney world that is objectively better than the one that they did in the live action film. Because I would be creating an original brand new princess with her own thoughts, ideas, and opinions about the human world. She would have had her own songs that are based on her own culture, her own belief. But that's not what she got. Instead, we gonna give her and minorities the sloppy seconds of a white man's story. You see, the reason why diversity is failing is because people are trying to make it something that it isn't and is not about. All it is simply saying is that, hey, you the creator, be more open-minded to create protagonists that are not white. But if you want to, go ahead. Be more open-minded to the other cultures that are out there, the myths and the legends and the folklores, and maybe use some of their stuff when creating your fictional world. That's what diversity is supposed to be about. Diversity is the inclusion of everyone. Doesn't matter what skin color you have, doesn't matter what religion, what belief you have, who you like, who you don't like. Diversity is supposed to include everybody. You're supposed to make everyone look good. We're supposed to include everybody, but that's not what modern diversity is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video in some fashion or form. And remember, gamer, if you're not voicing your thoughts and concern about the lies that are being told, about the misrepresentation of the situation, and the continuous perpetuation of people who lay claim that they're doing this stuff for diversity's sake, and yet they don't even understand the basics of diversity, which then should lead you to believe if they don't even understand the basis of what diversity is supposed to be in entertainment, then who's really doing the harassing?